In today's lesson, we'll be learning the song The Bugle Boys to practice our intervallic reading by focusing on our fifth intervals. Let's get started. The song will be in our C position, so let's take a second to remember where that is. We will be starting with our right hand finger number 1 on middle C and our left hand pinky on low C. Place your hands in the correct position, and when we're ready, let's get started with this first line. We will be starting with our left hand finger numbers 1 and 5, and we will play them together. If you read the lyrics, we will be playing our fifth interval every time we say the word hup. For example, hup, 2, 3, 4, hup, 2, 3, 4. Take a second to go over this with your parents, and when we're ready, let's try playing this whole first introduction section together. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. Hup, 2, 3, 4. Hup, 2, 3, 4. Hup, 2, hup, 2, hup, 2, 3, 4. Great job! If you feel like you need to go back and practice that, feel free to do so. Let's move on to the next line of our music. In this first measure, we will be playing our left hand finger numbers 1 and 5 again, and we will hold it out for 2 measures. Now let's take a look at our right hand part. We will be starting with our finger number 1 on middle C, and we will skip up to our finger number 3. Then, we'll skip back down to our finger number 1, and up to our finger number 3 again. In the second measure, we will skip up to our finger number 5 and play that note twice. Take a second to practice this with your parents, and if you need to practice hands separately before you put it together, feel free to do so. When we're ready, let's try this section. Parents, I will be playing these 2 measures as written, which means I will be holding out our finger number 5 for 2 beats. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Amazing job! Feel free to go back and repeat this section for more practice. Now let's move on to the next 2 measures. If you look closely, this first measure is exactly the same as the measure we played earlier, measure number 5. Let's review it. We will be holding our left hand finger numbers 1 and 5 down for the full length of the section. Meanwhile, our right hand finger number 1 will be starting, and we will be skipping up and down between our 1 and 3. In the second measure, we will skip up to our finger number 5 and hold that down for 4 beats. Take a second to practice this section with your parents first, and when we're all ready, let's give it a go. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounding great! If you'd like to go back and repeat this section, feel free to do so. Now let's move on to our second page. In these first 2 measures, you'll notice we have the same pattern as we had in the beginning, so let's review it. We will be holding down our finger numbers 1 and 5 in our left hand, and our right hand will be skipping back and forth between our finger numbers 1 and 3. In the second measure, we will skip up to our finger number 5 and play that note twice. Take a second to review this, and when we're ready, let's play this together. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome! Let's move on to the next section. From where we left off, we will be skipping down to our finger number 3 in our right hand and skipping down again to our finger number 1 on middle C. Then, we will switch to our left hand finger number 1 and play that note twice. Then in our next measure, we will switch back up to our finger number 1 on middle C. Take a second to practice this with your parents first, and parents, make sure the transitions between hands are smooth. When we're ready, Let's try playing these two measures together. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job! If you'd like to practice that section again, feel free to go back and do so. Now let's move on to the last section of our piece, the ending section. Similarly to the beginning, we'll be playing our left-hand finger numbers 1 and 5 every time we say hup. In the last two measures, we will switch to our right-hand finger numbers 1 and 5. Take a second to practice this with your parents first, and when we're ready, let's finish off the last section of our piece. I'll give us a countdown. 1, 2, ready, go. Hup, 2, 3, 4. Hup, 2, 3, 4. Hup, 2, hup, 2, hup, 2, 3, 4. Nice job! Feel free to go back and practice this section if you'd like. Otherwise, we finished our song, The Bugle Boys. Parents, to help your child practice this week, you can practice your fifths or your fifth interval skips by going over the first and last lines of the music. You can also go over the piece and identify any other patterns or intervals that you might see. And as always, if you need to break down the music into sections and annotate, feel free to do so. Happy practicing!